Hello everyone, the Overplayer back, and today I wanted to give you guys a hardcore weapons tier list for Black Ops Cold War. I know not all of us play core, and while you guys who do play core can go find all the info you want on the tier lists for core out there, hardcore guys don't have that. And so I wanted to bring it because I have all these guns gold, and I know what they all feel like. So we're gonna just kind of go through these as they're presented, and I'll tell you guys what I think of them. So one thing that we have to note is that hardcore health is 30. So that means pretty much every gun is going to one-shot. So it's going to come down to stuff like handling attributes and fire rate. So starting off with the 1911. The 1911 I didn't have too much of a hard time with. Its damage drop-off was actually really nice because I could one-shot or two-shot at long ranges. But it was a good overall round. It's got good fire rate. But it's not the greatest because in hardcore, if you just have a shotgun secondary, you're pretty much going to win. Whatever your primary is should be able to one-shot at any distance, no matter what. So that's why I'm going to say this is more of a... I'm going to say it's more of a C, just because pistols aren't really that useful when you have shotguns that deal so much damage so fast. Next up, this is the AK-74U. This is a one-shot at any range, has a decent fire rate, good velocity. I'm going to say for hardcore, that's more of a B. It's not the greatest because some other stuff has a faster fire rate. And there are other things that have like better, just like magazines and stuff like that, like the Bullfrog, for example. I'd like to talk about this. This is like the Bison of this game. And the Bison, if you remember from Modern Warfare, was great in hardcore. Not just because it had all around good stats, but because of that big mag size. And in hardcore, when the damage isn't mattering that much because it's already going to be a one shot, but it's just consistent, it's going to really make it a good gun. I'm going to say it's almost a B tier. It's almost the same as the AK-74U, but I'd say it's an A. I see it run a lot, and it's really good. The AK. Now, this is going to surprise a lot of people, but the AK I'm actually just going to put at a B tier. Don't get me wrong, it's good, and it can definitely work. But the thing is, there aren't a lot of guns that aren't a one-shot. So while normally the AK would excel in that region because other guns would be under 30 damage, every single gun except for the Fafar in the assault rifle category does 30 damage. Unless it's at like an extreme range, which usually, and then it's just a two-shot, then the AK is just not going to be able to do that because of its recoil. So that's why I'm having it B tier. Now the AUG is sadly going to be, I'm going to have to say it's a D. The tactical rifles are great. They are great in core. But in hardcore, because of the one-shot potentials of everything, this burst delay on this and the M16, I'm not sure what the M16 is down here. There it is. Both of these guns, I'm going to say the M16 is a C tier just because it has way better handling, but the AUG is handling much worse. And we really don't want that. And hardcore snap aiming is essential. It's really testing your reaction time. Now the Diameti, this is an A tier gun. Maybe even, I'd say actually it's an S tier. It's definitely the best of the pistols, and it can put a lot of bullets downrange very fast. It's burst delay. It's very small, and each bullet actually can one-shot, if I remember correctly. So this can pretty much one-shot, and it has a 3-round burst, so even if you miss a couple shots in the burst, as long as you hit one, you're pretty much good. The DMR, I'd say, is actually a B tier. It's the recoil isn't bad on it, and while definitely these assault rifles are a 3-round burst, this one you can kind of just spam and put a lot of bullets downstream. Now, no, maybe it is a C tier. I think it's going to be a C tier just because of the fact that it's not auto. It's still decent, don't get me wrong. I just can't do a lot with it. Alright, the Fafar, that's F tier. The main problem with the Fafar is not only its recoil properties, but the fact that it's one of the only weapons. In fact, I think it is the only weapon that is a two-shot in hardcore. It's just not good. I would never recommend you use the Fafar in hardcore unless you're going for challenges with it. Heck, I wouldn't recommend it really anyway. The Gallo. Gallo, definitely, and actually that's more of an S+. It's a really good all-around shotgun, and as a secondary, it's extremely powerful. In fact, I know many people that just run it alone on Nuketown. Because it has pretty good range, you can kit it really well to just go far distances. As a shotgun, it's very good, and you can still get a really high fire rate with it. Now the Howler's gonna have to, it's a B, it's a C. So the problem with the Howler is that what's supposed to be the balancing act between the Howler and the Gallo is that the Howler does more damage than the Gallo, but it has slower reload. But when both of these do the same amount of damage essentially in hardcore, the Howler just sucks because you still have to pump. It's much more viable in core modes where even if you don't get the one-shot kill, you could still live, and when someone's gallowing you, you still gotta have time to like just one pop them. But when both of these one pop in hardcore, there's no reason to run the Howler, and you could just run the Gallo. Knife, F tier. Actually, for that matter, where's the Sledgehammer? Sledgehammer and Wakizashi, both F tier. I shouldn't really have to explain this that much, as non-bullet weapons and the fact that you're in hardcore, so you can't tank anything, you just instantly die. And because you can't even run faster than people, it makes it really difficult to just do anything with these. Krig is really, I think that's an A tier. Very controllable, very consistent, good recoil properties. It doesn't have the fastest fire rate. I would like to see, if it was a little bit faster, I think it'd be an S tier, but it's definitely a really good gun. The KSP. Actually, the KSP is an A tier. I know that might surprise some people, but the KSP is really, really good. It's not only at a really fast burst rate, but it does have a lot of delay. But the thing about the KSP is it's got really good handling properties, and it's always going to be a one-tap. Even if you only hit one bullet in the burst like the Diameti, it's still going to one-hit people. Tundra, F tier. Don't use snipers in hardcore. If you want to have something like a sniper, use a DMR. You could even use the Krig. You'd get the same result. Stoner. I'd say Stoner is a B tier. It's not that good on handling, but you can put a lot of bullets downstream. I'd say the same thing about the M60. I don't know where the M60 is in here. There it is. These both kind of have the same thing. The handling properties aren't good enough to make them competitive with the RPD, which is going to be an A tier. But if you're looking for the LMG, use the RPD. I found I had a lot of success with that. The M60 is just really good for holding down power positions, but the handling properties of these are so bad that I really wouldn't recommend them. Like even the Sonar, it's just not that solid. RPD is better, and because that's what it's supposed to be good at. It's supposed to be the little more mobile LMG. It doesn't work that well in core, but in hardcore, definitely recommend. What is this? This is the China Lake, the M79. That's gonna be an F tier because people run flak jacket. I hate it. I hated doing long shots with it. Granted, I have a video on how to get the long shots with it, but it was still really annoying. M82. Yeah, it's gonna be an F tier. Still a sniper rifle. Sigma, F tier. Especially with the flak jacket issue, same with the RPG. These things do no damage. Even in hardcore, you wouldn't even get hit markers in core if you hit close enough to kill them. Magnum, F tier, definitely. I know some people might argue with me on this one, but the Magnum's fire rate is so slow that it just makes it not competitive with anything. The reason that it's a gun in the first place, it's supposed to be the high damage pistol. But when a Diameti can one-shot, there's no reason to ever run the Magnum. MP5. MP5, that's going to be, I'd say, an S plus tier. Definitely one of the best all-around submachine guns. It's like the KSP, a little lower fire rate. Like the burst of the KSP is faster, but if you're hitting your shots with the MP5 or shot, it's just godly. Now let's move on. Okay, Pellington, obviously F tier. Type 63, that's going to be a C tier just because it's the same as the M14. They're both just semi-auto weapons. They're not bad, but they're not great. QBZ, this I could definitely, I don't know, I didn't have that great of a time with it. I can't really remember, like, it was very forgettable. But I know it's an S tier, simply because of the fact that it has the damage we're looking for, and the fire rate, and the recoil isn't that bad. If you're looking for the assault rifle to run, I would say run with that. Alright, next up is the Milano. That is a D tier. It's got a very low fire rate, and its handling stats aren't great, so I really wouldn't recommend it. XM4, that's going to be an A tier along with the Krig. They're both pretty much equal. The Krieg is just a little more consistent, but if you're looking for more all around, it just really depends on your flavor. XM4 will be a little better, depending on what you're looking for. The Groza is an S tier. It's got that same fire rate. While its recoil is not great, if you can line up the first shot, that's really what matters. You can burst it a little bit to really mitigate the recoil. I would say the QBZ is a little better, but the Groza has better handling stats, which might be able to get you that first shot. Street Sweeper. This is... I know people want me to put this in the S plus tier, but this is just an S tier because the reloads are so bad. The reloads on the Street Sweeper pretty much actually make this bump this down to an A tier. If you're running around with it and you're getting into close range encounters, you will win. But once you have to reload, that's the end of it, and you're pretty much going to die. The Street Sweeper is just a god at close quarters interactions, but the Gala just outclasses it. And finally, the MAC-10, I'm actually going to say is a B tier. In core, this little gun shreds, but in hardcore, it's a 2-shot kill. So if you and an enemy see each other at the same time, and you both shoot, you're going to lose, sadly. Alright, so this is my rankings of the current guns in hardcore. I wanted to do this so that way those of you who are more into hardcore like I am and really dislike the long time to kills of core can kind of get a feeling for what you should be using. Obviously, this is a bit subjective, and some of you might like a lot more than others. For example, I had a personal better time with the M60 than I did with the RPD when doing challenges. However, I know that if I actually had to use the guns, the RPD could be kitted better. I just have to kit mine really stupidly to do really weird things like long shots behind cover kills. You know the gist. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed, and get ready for some new content. Once this season drops, I'm going to be playing a lot, have some more Warzone stuff, some Cold War stuff. I'm going to probably be releasing a guide or two later on how to get gold on all the new guns. All 6 of them when they come out. Alright, I will see you all then. Bye-bye.